What I came here to do is to tell you that DHIS2 is intertwined with global health security. I also came here to tell you that DHIS2 is a pathway to strengthening health security, and also is a critical pathway to achieving the universal health coverage and even the sustainable development goals that we've all yearning and moving towards as we steadily push towards 2030. But I'll give you a couple of stories that will give you an enlightenment of how important the tools that we're here to discuss and what it has done practically in the field of public health. One of the stories, I was once working for a disease program, a vertical disease program. One of the diseases, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, that is affecting children under 5 and pregnant women. And even without calling the name, most of you in the room will know that malaria is one of the diseases that up to now we still grapple with. I used to be deputy program manager, and later on became the acting program manager of the National Malaria Control Program, funded by both the Global Fund and the Presidential Malaria Initiative headed by the US, championed by the US government. And those days, our concentration running a vertical program, HIV, AIDS, TB, malaria, was to meet specific goals and targets that would keep the pipeline of the ATM machine flowing with the money to do the work that was supposed to do on the field. So the idea of having a diagonal or having a horizontal program to collect data on the field was something that we were grappling with in the malaria program, because what we wanted was fast data, accurate information, report to the donors, and get the resources moving. And there were colleagues also in the Ministry of Health heading the health management information system, and was pushing those all in a vertical program. That look, we need a horizontal program that coordinates all these so that we get one report to our donors. We didn't see that at the time. Then flip the coin. I was elevated and rose to the position as Assistant Minister of Health. And in my role as Assistant Minister of Health, I was in charge of all of the disease programs: reproductive health, maternal and child health, family planning. You think about, immunization program. You think about neglected tropical diseases, HIV and AIDS, TB. Now I'm sitting in the office and looking at broadly all of the indicators coming from the field, and I want to do well as Assistant Minister of Health. This is where it comes in, that we need to integrate, build capacity of people, and then get the results at the same time. And let me tell you the experience that I noticed from the field. The reports that were coming from the field, from the health facilities, almost 700 plus health facilities, was that healthcare workers were overburdened with donor priorities. Everyone wanted their report, different supervisions going on, training program for HIV and AIDS, TB, malaria, reproductive health, and everyone around the place. Then you ask yourself, where is the DHIS2, the vehicle that's supposed to move all of these data and integrate them? It became a problem that we're supposed to solve. And I believe in this room, people from the field, because when I listened to my colleague who gave the introductory remarks, you are all experts from across the world that have looked at some of these things that I have described to you. One other area that made DHIS important is when an outbreak occurs. I'm leaving a little bit of normal situation in a healthcare setting where multilaterals, bilateral partners have their own interests and interest in the medical program. I'm moving towards now an outbreak setting. We thought we built a program. We thought we built a health system that would withstand shocks. But when one single disease struck, that was the Ebola virus disease, between 2014 and 2016 in West Africa. We are all very young people. The memories are still fresh. We still grappling with COVID-19, similar situation. When Ebola struck, I was in a position in 2014 as Assistant Minister of Health. When hell broke loose, community deaths, first time for a disease to hit 3 capital cities, 23 million people, Sierra Leone, Guinea, Liberia, Monrovia, Freetown, Conakry got affected with the virus. Globally, leaders across the world were struggling how to contain it. The 3 most affected countries got together and said we are faced with a situation. I was called upon then by the President of Liberia, Her Excellency Mrs. Ellen Johnson, said, the former president now, to lead the incident management system. At the very heart of the outbreak, when thousands and thousands of people were already affected, community agitation, fear, closure of school. And let me backtrack a little bit. It was one of the times that I remember the global health community made a big mistake. Ebola started in March of 2014 in Liberia. It was not until 6 months before the World Health Organization declared public health emergency of international concern, when thousands and thousands of people have already died. The social economic impact to be felt in our areas and the communities that you all knew. When we were called upon in the middle of the outbreak, DHIS2. I have my colleagues in the room here, 2 colleagues in the room from Liberia. Mr. Luke Bao, please say. Please give me a very big hand. Thank you, Luke. Luke Bao was the head of my epi-surveillance team when the outbreak started. He's today in the Ministry of Health as the MAE Director and Health Information System and Research and all of that. And Luke can bear me witness when an outbreak struck, when an emergency occurs, everyone have their own ideas that they feel very much important. DHIS2 was already rolled out in the Ministry of Health. People disregarded that software and brought in different sort of ideas with Excel, with EpiInfo, with a lot of software to collect data. We got extremely difficult to know where the diseases are coming from, how to plan contact tracing, how to track the disease and make effective decisions because of that. We have to revert to DHIS2 to pull the trigger. and make those decisions that were critical to move the outbreak to where we got it, and got it under control. Before that, about 4,800 people, including 11,000 people got affected, 4,000 people lost their life, and in the entire region, 28,000 cases with 11,000 deaths, the first ever unprecedented Ebola outbreak in history. There's one going on in Uganda right now. And when I listen and read, I see some of those things that we grapple with, putting down curfews, quarantine communities, instead of surgically engaging the communities. Some of those things are happening right now in Uganda. This is not unique to low middle income countries. I work here in the US. When COVID struck, organizations that in Africa that was telling us this is what you need to do, we're setting up incident management system, we're setting up information system. Those organizations forgot about those things, and they were doing completely different data collection tools and all of that. Even here in the United States, we couldn't see the role of the CDC, we couldn't see the role of NIH and the organizations that were on the field working with me when I was leading the incident management system in Liberia. So one of the things that we did was that at Hopkins, my colleagues and myself, because one of the things that I thought was lacking in the US response was contact tracing. As critical as surveillance is, contact tracing stopped the outbreak in Africa, in Liberia specifically, and I knew that contact tracing would have been effective in the US response. And so with the support of Michael Bloomberg, three-time mayor of New York, who contacted the DHU, International Health, my colleagues and myself sat down and put together a contact tracing course. As we speak, that course have gotten 1.3 million people that took it and got certified. All US 50 states, 5 languages are taking. 15 million people have viewed the contact tracing course, the open source software. It's an open source course that you can find online that we developed. And one of the pieces that I enjoyed with that course was the ethics of contact tracing. As a lawyer, I played a role in designing that aspect of it, because one of the issues in the US was rights, freedom. People would be spying on us as contact tracers. But then if you go back in the US Constitution, you find out that all of these ethical issues are enshrined in there. So surveillance is a critical piece in outbreak response. The next piece that I want to mention before I take my seat is the importance of data sharing. The importance of data sharing, going beyond data sharing, the entire material sharing. When an outbreak occurs, or in a normal situation, people need blood, semen, saliva to test and make decisions of a normal pathogen, how to respond to the outbreak. But it can be very extremely difficult for people to share these materials because of fear, privacy issue, confidentiality, and other issues. You know the story of Indonesia with H5N1, when it was difficult for the data to be shared on privacy ground. You know the story of Zika with Brazil in 2015, 2016. It was difficult to share the data. But in West Africa, what we experienced was different institutions, countries were coming in to remove Ebola specimens and data that we have. So what we did was to formulate a data sharing agreement with some of the institutions and protect the privacy, the integrity of these data, and how for data to be shared across countries. If you don't share data, if you don't put the information out there, it will be extremely difficult to respond to an outbreak. So, as you spend a couple of days here, moving through this program, DHIS2 is a critical tool for moving towards universal health coverage, for moving towards the Sustainable Development Goals. To achieve this, we cannot run vertical programs, whether it is integrated disease surveillance system, whether it is logistic management information system, whether it is human resource management system, the entire HRS component have to be integrated, and the vehicle to moving all of these power in the health system is why you are here in the next 2 days.